Aging is not for the faint of heart. I'm Kim, a proud Generation Xer, and I'm here with my baby boomer mom, Karen. Together, we'll tackle the tough but necessary conversations, share the hilarious and sometimes embarrassing moments, and open up about the stories that truly touch the heart. Come with us as we explore what it means to navigate these years with our aging loved ones. So grab a cup of coffee or maybe a glass of wine, invite your friends and family, and join us for Walks with Mom. Woo!
We're back.
We're back. We're back. Well, this is Walks with Mom, and I am Kim. I am a Generation Xer, and this is my mom, Karen.
And I am a very proud baby boomer.
Woo, woo, baby boomer in the house. Hey, so before we even start this episode today, by the way, it's going to be called The Fall That Changed It All.
And we're not talking about the season, are we?
No, the fall that changed it all. The fall that changed it all, y'all. Just kidding.
Enough of the rhyming.
So how, before we kind of dive deep, how have you enjoyed doing these podcasts so far, Mom?
They're kind of fun.
Oh, really?
And I get an opportunity to tell stories on you.
Well, likewise.
Oh, yeah, you do, don't you?
No, I think it's great. You even shared a story that one of your friends, kind of a counterpart in age.
Yeah.
What was and we can't use names, but what did she tell you that she wanted her?
Oh, she wanted her daughter to watch these podcasts or listen to these podcasts once we start publishing them because, she just wants to have better communication with her daughter. And she also lives with her family like I do.
Oh, really? So she thinks that it would be like a good way to start some conversations in an easier way than just sitting there and saying, "Hey, Mom, we need to talk about this."
We're going to have a family meeting here.
But in, one of our other episodes, we talked about this book called The Other Talk by Tim Prosch.
Mm-hmm.
And we liked that because it, for those people that are watching the YouTube, it's we're showing it on the video, but it really takes it from a stance that your generation is the one that needs to start the talk.
Yes,
right? About these aging things.
The younger generation needs to want to be part of those talks because it's a conversation. And just a little story on my friend that we were just talking about. She needed to communicate something with her daughter and son-in-law, even though they live in the same house. And she wrote a letter to them to communicate it. Don't know that that's the best way, but I guess it worked for them.
Yeah, I guess it worked for them. And then maybe this, to your point, is maybe be willing to engage in that conversation.
Yes.
When our parents
for both sides
bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. And being wise to say, okay, this is something we need to start thinking about, being proactive about, empowering ourselves.
Which kind of leads it into the topic today, because we found out we weren't having very good conversations.
No. So that's why we titled it
Mm-hmm.
The Fall That Changed It All.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right. So before we talk about this, we are talking about falls in our aging loved ones. And before we dive deep, I do want to give a statistic, at least here in Arizona. If you're listening across the country, you can probably find, some statistics pertaining to your state. But 100,000 falls were related in hospital visit for those that were 65 and older in 2024.
This is just in Arizona.
Just in Arizona. So out of those, 1.5 resulted in death. While that doesn't look alarming,
it's 1.5%.
1.5% were reported in death. Well, while that's not alarming, we really need to note that because there's so many unreported falls, right?
Exactly.
There's so many unreported falls that could have issues later on, but it wasn't reported as an initial fall.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So yeah, this totally changed the way, honestly, how I think is when we share the story about your fall and our conversation about it. It totally changed.
Gotta go over that again.
We do. We do. So it totally changed the way I think and how I am hoping to.
Well, it actually changed the way I think too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's tell about it.
Okay. So yeah, I don't even know. It was a couple of months ago.
Yeah, it was a couple of months ago, and it happened at church. I was walking from my car into the building. It happened to be at a time I don't think there were hardly anybody else in the parking lot, and I fell. And what was really funny is when I fell on my hands.
Oh my.
And I had my phone in one hand, and then my phone got really damaged. I think that's kind of how you found out I even fell. You looked at my damaged phone.
You're right. You're right. I think I did, right? Mom, what happened to your phone?
Right.
The screen crack or what?
Yeah,
I mean, something happened.
The cover
right?
was all messed up, cracked. Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't tell you about it.
So yeah. So I think that's how I found out about it is because of the phone.
Right.
And when we sat down and had a conversation, actually, I don't think it was a really good conversation.
Not to start with.
No. It was Kim getting hot-headed, which is probably normal. But I got pretty heated and upset that you didn't say.
That I didn't tell you.
That you didn't tell me. And once I calmed down, I said, Mom, why didn't you tell me? And let's talk about the 3 reasons why you didn't tell me. And we'll walk through those. And what we'll do is we'll also share from my perspective on each of those.
Right.
So,
well, I wasn't really hurt. So I didn't see a real need to share.
But was anybody around?
I don't think anybody saw me. I was able to get up myself.
Okay.
So I was relieved at that.
Uh-huh.
Actually, what happened is I fell going up a curb. I needed to step up on a curb and I didn't quite make it and I just fell. So it was pretty easy to get up because my feet were lower than my body and I could just kind of crawl up on my hands till I could stand up.
Okay.
Not always that easy to get up.
No, it's not.
And a lot of times people can't get up. But I was very, very embarrassed, of course.
So that's why you didn't tell me is because you were embarrassed or you didn't tell anybody?
I didn't tell anybody initially because I was embarrassed. And I was glad nobody saw me. And then it was like by falling and admitting it, I would have to admit that I am getting to that age that falls are a problem. And that's getting older. Nobody wants to admit they're getting older. That is just something they want to try to avoid. That's one of those foolish things.
So you were embarrassed, but I'm gonna rat you out here a little bit. What were you doing?
Oh, well, I was going to get to that.
What were you doing when you fell? I know you missed a curb, but why did you miss a curb, Mom?
I was walking and looking at my phone at the same time. That's why the phone got damaged, because I put out my hands to catch myself.
Okay.
So it's one of those things you can't do 2 things at once. And you see people walking around all the time looking at their phone and walking. But at my age, that ain't smart.
That ain't
No,
smart.
don't do that. You've got to pay attention to where you're walking and how you're walking.
So I guess like the reasons being embarrassed because you were on your phone and the fact that you have to admit, or it sounds like you had to admit the reality that you're getting older and some things that you were able to do, like be on your phone and walk at the same time or do something else and walk. You have to be a little bit more conscious about walking now.
And, when you're younger, you could step onto a curb and off a curb without even thinking. But I'm sorry, as you get older, you've got to consciously think about, did I lift my foot high enough to get on that curb? And sometimes I probably lift it too high, but you have to think about that. It's not just natural. You've lost that ability.
That's interesting. And we didn't talk about that before this podcast. But I'm seeing from your perspective how you have to go, okay, did I put my foot up a little bit more?
You haven't got to the most important reason.
No. We can ignore that.
I didn't want to get a lecture from my daughter.
What?
And I knew I'd get a lecture. I don't want a lecture. I know I was wrong.
You're making me out like I'm a bad person. I'm a bad adult.
No, I think you're a normal daughter.
But I probably would have I think I did give you a lecture a little bit. No, what happened after that you told me that?
Well, I think you asked me why I didn't tell you. And that's when it finally came out, my reasons for not sharing it.
Yeah.
Initially.
Yeah. And for those of you out there, when she told me that she didn't want to get a lecture from me, I did get a little heated. But then after I kind of processed it, I think what I came to the conclusion that, oh my, I'm not emotionally safe
for me to talk to,
for you to tell me these important things. And if you're not emotionally safe, and then I don't know these things, then I don't know how to manage or deal with these things should a crisis happen. Like, I feel like I was making the situation worse or could make the situations worse in the future if you're not emotionally safe to share these things with me and be open what's going on.
And it is hard to admit those kind of things because then we're admitting we're getting old. And, we certainly don't want to hear a lecture about it or, I don't even want to hear, well, Mom, you should have told me. But I don't, but then when we actually started talking, a real conversation about this, you learned about the emotional safety from my viewpoint, but I learned something from you too.
Yeah. So when we were able to talk, so first of all, I had to do some internal self-reflection and that I wasn't emotionally safe. But then I shared with you that if you didn't share that with me and something else would occur like a day later.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or some days later, and I needed to take you to the doctor or the ER or something like that, I wouldn't have known that there was a fall. There was a frame of reference for the doctors to maybe go, oh, okay, we need to look at maybe some other internal stuff or things of that nature.
And that's really, really important because, well, there's that incident that I was on a 2-step ladder and fell.
Yes.
And I fell on my head.
And cracked it open.
Then there was the other time I fell in the bathtub in the shower area.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That was
You're telling on
Super
yourself.
Bowl Sunday.
No, you falling off the step ladder was Super Bowl Sunday.
No, the other one was Super Bowl Sunday.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. One of them was super. They're both bad.
Who's the one that has probably the better memory right now? Just saying.
Okay, I'm old. Mom. But I do remember the other incident, and you will too when I tell you.
Okay.
So you know how you put your foot up on the commode to your toenails?
I remember this. Yes, now I do.
Well, I fell. I lost my balance and I fell. And I fell into the shower,
The shower that's right next to the
commode.
yes.
It may have knocked me out for a second.
Yeah.
So when I came to, my husband was still alive then. When I came to, I crawled out of the shower. I walked all the way through the family room to our sitting room and sat and told him what happened. And it alarmed him enough, even with his memory loss, that he went to the bottom of the stairs and yelled for you.
Yes, I do remember that.
And I ended up not only in ER.
I do. That I do remember.
I ended up in the hospital because I had a brain bleed.
Yes.
And I could have sat in that chair and you would have never.
I would have never known. I would have never known that there was something
wrong. Because I was really out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? How funny. I was just digging on you that who had the better memory, and I totally now remember that.
I don't know if that was Super Bowl Sunday or the other.
But
I think that one was the Super Bowl Sunday.
So, but it was going back to these stories. While we're trying to laugh about them, they're really not anything to laugh about.
No.
Falls are not anything to laugh about. But I think what we're hoping is that people can start learning from this because, while I know that it's difficult to be vulnerable, there's a couple of things we can take away. For your safety, you need to be vulnerable, or your generation needs to be vulnerable and share that.
Right. And that is so important for our overall health.
Right. And then for my generation, we need to, when that information is being shared, first of all, no judgment, right?
Right.
And be more curious about that, asking questions.
Yeah, because that's easier to.
Yeah.
You just feel like it's more of a conversation, give and take, and not a lecture.
But not a lecture questions. It's more like, okay, Mom, how did you fall? Where did you hit your head?
What can we do about
What can we do about it? And then, maybe days later after the incident happens, maybe revisit it. And if there's some changes that need to be made, or, Mom, that really concerned me. What happened? What are some things that we can do moving forward?
And you're talking about making changes, and that's kind of the important result of conversation like this. In one podcast recently, we talked about two-step ladder. Remember that fall that you're remembering, I was on a two-step ladder.
Right. And you then told me you're still getting on the two-step ladder in the kitchen to get spices.
Yeah, that I did admit that, didn't I?
And so after we did that podcast, and I'm like, what on the podcast? I'm like, you're sharing this with me now, right in a podcast?
I had never said that to you before.
And tell our audience what I did when we got home.
Well, we did on the way home. We did talk about a little bit about, what was really happening, and just to kind of reiterate, some of the more important spices were on the top shelf in the kitchen cabinet. And if they're on the very edge, I'm tall enough I could reach them.
But if they're a little bit.
But if they got pushed back a little bit, I couldn't reach them. So I would have to get out the two-step ladder to get the spices. And I'm sorry, I needed the spices right then because I was cooking right then. I couldn't wait till somebody was home or walking through the kitchen to get the spices. So what happened is we started talking about, well, how do we solve this problem? And we came up with why do the spices have to be on the top shelf? Well, we talked about the solution, and the next time I opened the cabinet, guess what?
I could hear you laughing.
I was
laughing.
I couldn't find the spices on the top cabinet. They had moved down 2 shelves.
But these were simple changes.
Very simple changes.
Very simple changes that could change the whole trajectory of your living, right? Not the whole trajectory, but it could have changed. So it started with you being vulnerable and telling me, me being emotionally safe,
Right.
and
Being in a problem-solving mode.
working with you in a problem solving.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, why didn't I think about moving the spices? I run the kitchen. I could have moved the spices, but it never dawned on me. This is the way the kitchen was organized, and most of the time I could reach them.
Most of the time. Well, again, I hope that if this has been helpful for you, or it just allows you to have a conversation starter,
Yeah.
right, with an aging loved one or with your adult children. We ask that you share this podcast. You can share it. You can also find us on YouTube, Instagram. Like us, follow us, get that notification every time an episode drops with Walks for Mom. So, yeah, thanks.
We're going to have more fun with Walks with Mom, and we're going to learn more stories too.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next walk.
This is Karen, and I just wanted to say thank you for spending some time with us today. Please come back for more laughs, more connections, and more real life moments between these two generations. See you on the next walk.